Hello everyone, and welcome back to another week of learning in our 4th grade class. Welcome everyone. Today is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. So it is officially Tuesday, like the real Tuesday, 2/22/22. And yes, I did stop for a moment here and there throughout the day to celebrate this momentous day because it's not going to happen again for another 100 years. So, and also it fell on a Tuesday, so it was like a literal Tuesday. I'm coming to you at the end of the school day, and I want to give you a rundown of our agenda. I did change things around because when I made the agenda on Friday, which I have to thank my past self for getting the agenda on the board, the schedule on the board, everything ready to go, because I really appreciated it after coming back from a 3-day weekend since yesterday was President's Day. But I did change a couple things around because when I put the agenda on Friday, I completely forgot that it was Tuesday today. And I did download some resources from Teachers Pay Teachers. I'll be sure to share them down below so you can see what I used and also shout out some of these amazing teacher creators and teacher authors. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this agenda and I'll let you know what we did today. Starting off with reading, we got through pretty much everything except our shared read, and that was mostly because I was reading 2 different stories to the kids that we did stop and work on, but I did make sure I introduced a new unit for today. And in writing, we got through all of our writing. I can't wait to show you the first bucket that we made. And in math, this is what I meant by changing things. We didn't get to do any of these things that I previously wrote for math because we did a Tuesday math challenge. And then, of course, at the end of the day, we continue to work on our famous person in Black History project. Now, in addition to the weekly language review that my students worked on this morning, I also gave them another sheet so that they can work on some Tuesday themed activities. As usual, this was the weekly language review that we worked on. We did Monday and Tuesday. And again, this comes from One Stop Teacher Shop. And I gave them this free resource that I got from Shelly Rees as a downloadable from one of her emails that she sent me. So this was a free resource. And here the students had to find other words that meant to. And on the back, they needed to find things that go together. So rock and roll, knife and fork, salt and pepper, etc. So these are all the different pairs that they found. And after we went over that, I had the students listen to a read aloud of Tuesday by David Weisner. I don't currently have the book because I lent it to one of my teacher friends, but I'll insert a clip here so you can see the book. I have read this book before to the students, so it was nice to read it again to them. And as we were reading the book, we were answering some comprehension questions. And this resource comes from my friend Christy at Your Thirfty Co-Teacher on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers. So these are some of the comprehension questions based on some basic information about the book, the setting, the plot, what was happening. And these over here are based on some pictures so the students can kind of infer what is happening and what that reveals about the characters that are portrayed in those pictures. These were really great activities. Another book that I read just for fun, I did download a resource to go along with it, but I decided not to do it because we had already spent time on the reading comprehension questions for the book Tuesday. But the other book that we read was 2 of Everything, and it was a great story. If you haven't heard of it, I'll be sure to link it down below. And also link the resource that I downloaded so that if you're interested in using that book, you can have a resource that can go along with it as a novel study and mentor text. Then that brought us up to writing. And for today in writing, we finished reading the sources and completing our first bucket on the board, which we did together. And this is the bucket that we created together. Again, this is on a large Post-it sheet that I have. And these come from source 1. So I marked my sources, I color coded them. So in source 1, these are the details, the evidence that supports this, because we determined that this was a good reason why students should be involved in improving schools if you are for the pro. tomorrow for the yes, students should do activities to improve schools. So we're working on that topic first before we go into the opposing topic, in case there's students that chose that one. And then we looked in source 2, and this was the evidence that supported this from that source, and this was the evidence that supported this from source 3. So now we are ready to take this bucket and turn it into a paragraph. So it's very exciting to walk the students through this process so that they get used to it. And when it's time for them to write their essays, they'll remember these strategies and hopefully will help them group similar ideas together so that they know how to organize their paragraphs and also cite the correct evidence to support the topic of the prompt. And then it was time for math. And in math, I used another resource. This one is a math challenge, and it's in the form of a brochure. So here it is Tuesday Math Challenge, Tuesday 2/22/22. It started with some place value. This is by Tanya Reteaching. And again, as you can see, it's in the form of a trifold or brochure. So then they block it up and they color different blocks, different colors. And then they answer questions based on the dots that were on the blocks. And then on the inside, we were looking at a little bit of geometry. We were also doing, again, some number sense and more number sense with multiples, factors, prime and composite numbers, and a little did you know. We didn't get to finish the back, but the back goes over different number sense problems that the students then need to color according to the color code. Great resource. Again, I'll link it down below. Even if it's no longer Tuesday, you might still want to just use it just to review it and just say, hey, we're going back in time today. Let's go ahead and pretend it is 2/22/22 because it's not going to happen for another 100 years. And let's, try to solve some of these problems. All right, then it was time for lunch and we had recess. Students went to music. And when we came back, we actually stopped at 2:22 for a dance party. So I put on my disco light that's on the ceiling, and I gave the students some of those foam doodles that have lights in, and they were just dancing. I found a playlist for Kids Bop on YouTube, and I played it for a couple of minutes. I think we had like a 10-minute dance party, and then we continued on with our famous person in Black History that they admire project that I talked about last week. More on that tomorrow. I also gave the students 2 little twigs because twigs represents 2, right? 2 sticks. So I gave them 2 little twigs at the end of our little dance party so that they can also have another way of celebrating Tuesday. And that, my friends, is all that happened today on this very eventful Tuesday. I don't have a faculty meeting after school today. I'm not doing Orange Theory today. I actually canceled it because yesterday I injured my left thigh muscle. It was very painful to even lift my leg up. This morning I woke up and it didn't hurt. So I just want to keep, resting it so that I don't overdo it. So I'm actually going to rest today and tomorrow. So I'll be back in Orange Theory on Thursday, but I think it's important, to let my body rest and recover because I don't want to create a major injury that I'm going to regret later. So I'm going to go home and rest and relax. But before I do, I am going to change the agenda and make sure that everything's ready to go for tomorrow because I really like to come in the morning without having to worry about that. So I will see you tomorrow, Wednesday. Hello again. It is now the end of the day on Wednesday, and we've had a really good day of learning. I'm going to show you the agenda and just give you some highlights from today. Here is our reading. We got through almost everything except the reading response questions, which we'll just move for tomorrow. Snack. During writing, we were finishing our buckets, and I have to say, that took some time because we have to look at each source and then decide what kind of bucket we want to group ideas into. So grouping similar ideas together so that we can answer the prompt. And you can already notice them behind me. So here they are. Here are the 3 buckets for the current essay that we're working on, which is should students do activities to improve schools? And this is for the yes. So this is the opinion for the yes. And then tomorrow I'm going to show them for the opposing opinion, which is no, students shouldn't do activities. But this is the one we did yesterday. And today we decided to make this one. Students learn new important skills. And all 3 sources gave us information on that. And then the other bucket that we worked on was boost school spirit, which again, all 3 sources gave us some evidence to support that idea as well. So my job for the rest of the week is to help students see how we can take the bucket and from the bucket turn it into a body paragraph to fully support that writing topic. As you can see, this is a process that takes time and we do it all together. So let's see how we continue to work on that and the students can revise their writing as we continue with this. Next week, we're going to switch back to informative. So it's just coming back and forth with the two different writing genres until the students have an understanding of how to address each writing genre. So on the day of the test, they can do well on either one that they get. Then it was time for math. And in math, we pretty much got through everything. I didn't do everything in parallel and perpendicular lines. I just kind of introduced it. So tomorrow I want to spend some more time on that. And at the end of the day, we continue with our famous person in Black history. Today we were working on classifying triangles. So I had the students look at how we classify triangles based on their angles and their sides. So just reviewing and introducing vocabulary so that they know what these different words mean. Now this morning, as we were getting ready, we of course were doing our weekly language review, but I found a Newsela article that was so important to go over with the students because it was a historic event that happened last week in the Olympics. And this is the article that I printed out and we discussed. Here's the article, Olympics History. American Erin Jackson is first Black woman to win speed skating gold. And she is also from Florida, so that was really interesting. So we read the article. And then I had the students answer 4 questions on their own based on the information in the article. And we talked about it, as well as going online and showing students the actual event, how she won that speed skating 500 meter. And we also watched a video where she was interviewed by the Today Show. So that was really great for the students to witness that and talk about it and celebrate it. And that's how we started reading today. During the social studies lesson, since my person that I am writing my paragraph on is Mansa Musa, I went ahead and shared with the students an ebook from Naomi Bryant and Lanisha Tab that I want to share with you. And I want to link down below in case you're interested in downloading this resource and letting your students know about this important person in Black history. As a reminder, here's the sheet from the Black Heroes ebook that I shared with you. This is an actual book that you can also buy, but I have it as an ebook. And here is the biography on Mansa Musa that I am using to complete my little flip book on the person that I admire in Black history. So I started by showing the students a model of the brainstorming. And then here's where I'm going to write 3 sentences that tell me something interesting about him. And we were going to go over how we write our opening and closing sentences, but we spent some time learning a little bit more about Mansa Musa through Lanisha and Naomi's ebook. This is the ebook, The Richest Man to Ever Walk the Earth. This is again by Naomi O'Brien and Lanisha Tab, and it is a great ebook that you can share about this important person in Black history and let your students know more about him. Now, I know that tomorrow I'm going to be doing science during the regular social studies time, so I'm just going to give students time in the morning when they come in to continue working on their paragraphs, and I will give them some examples of opening and closing sentences so that they can put their paragraphs together and continue working on this assignment. Another thing that I am working on, because the principal would like to do a writing camp, is trying to figure out the topics that I want to address in writing camp next week. Writing camp will be in the cafeteria with all of 4th grade in there, and I will be leading the session. It's about an hour session, and we're focusing on important skills in writing that we feel our students will benefit the most from. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, so I'm using whatever essay topic or prompt that we're focusing on that week according to our pacing guide, and just doing mini lessons from the ones that I was shown in the last training that I went to from the district on writing. So this is the little calendar that I came up with, and I just gave a copy to my principal. So this will be starting next week. We'll be writing camp day 1. So we're going to be focusing on informative writing, which is the wall among us, specifically how to group ideas together so that we can have body paragraphs that completely address the topic. Then the following week, we're going to focus on kids and sports using elaboration. So it's an elaboration mini lesson. So it'll be opinion writing. And then the following week, it'll be precise language and expression of ideas to help students find their voice in their writing and really express how they feel about the topic. Then we have spring break, and after spring break, the teachers will do a writing mock test in their classrooms, and they'll choose whether they want to do an informative prompt or an opinion prompt based on their students' needs. So this is pretty much what we're thinking on doing for writing camp, which will only be on Wednesdays, 1 hour in the morning. This is something that I have done in the past back when we were FCAT writing, but we haven't done it in a year. So we'll see how it goes next week. I'll let you know how it goes and what we end up doing. So stick around, come back so you can find out more. All right, it is time for me to go home. So I will see you tomorrow. Hello everyone, it is now Thursday at the end of the school day, and I just want to give you a rundown of how our day went. This morning I actually came to school late because I woke up and I was having chronic pain in my body, which made it really difficult to even get ready this morning. But I took some ibuprofen, I got ready, I made it to work a little bit late, but I was still here. Then I got the day started with the students, which did set us back on a couple of things on the agenda. Now I haven't checked things off yet, but I'll go ahead and check them off as I have you with me going over today's agenda. Starting off with our reading, we completed our weekly language review for this week. The students worked on their Black History flipbook, and we worked on our Wonders unit for week 5. We identified the theme of the poems we read today. We read The Climb, and I also read the anchor text poems to the students, and we didn't have time to do this reading response, but we did do the reading questions in their reading writing companion that went with the 2 shared read poems. So tomorrow we'll give these poems another read and do the reading response questions for that. And then for writing, we went over our opinion essay, we revised our writing plans, and we didn't have enough time for our introductions or body paragraphs, so that will have to be moved for tomorrow. In math, we did our weekly math review, and we reviewed parallel and perpendicular lines, so we wrapped that up, and we started to classify quadrilaterals. Then in bonus math, we wrapped up this, but we also did an IXL study jam to review classifying triangles and quadrilaterals. This was the first time I did it with the students, and they absolutely loved it. For science, instead of doing these 2 things, I actually ended up doing a science weekly review that I created yesterday, and I'm going to show you that right now. Basically, I wanted to create something that will help my students review essential information and skills that we have been learning since the beginning of the school year. So I created this in similar format to the other weekly reviews that we're working with. So I did separate it into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I also separated it by science domain. So we have the nature of science, which will be this row. We have earth and space science, physical science, and life science. Some of these, as you can see, are 3rd grade standards so that we can review those because these will be assessed in 5th grade for their state science exam that they take in 5th grade. So I did include the standards for each of these so I know which standards we're working on. And today we did Monday and Tuesday. Tomorrow we will have Wednesday and Thursday and continue to review these skills. Now, what I'm doing with Earth and Space Science is that on Monday and Tuesdays, I am dedicating these to space science. And then on Wednesday and Thursdays, we're dedicating it to Earth science. And that way, I hope that the students continue to review important science skills that we have been going over this school year and keep them fresh in their mind. Then I wanted to show you the writing plan that we worked on today. I wanted to show the students how they can use their planning sheet, the yellow planning sheet that I give them separately every time they take their writing practice test. And this time, since we have been working on the point of view of, yes, students should do activities to improve schools, I created my planning sheet based on the opposing point of view, which is no, students should not do activities to improve schools. So I show the students how they can go ahead and use their planning sheet. I told them, since this is an opinion essay, after I read all the sources, I can then determine my opinion. So I wrote my opinion up here, and then I created my content frame using a skinny column to list the sources and using the rest of it to list the evidence that supports this opinion from each source. So we gathered all this evidence, and then on the back, I had the students work on making sure that they created their spaceship graphic organizer that shows their opinion and their reasons for that opinion. So how did I come up with these? These are like our buckets, right? So what I did is I had the students help me out by looking at the evidence that we've gathered and decide what title to group certain evidence in. So the first idea they gave me is adults should do it, not kids. So then I went back to the evidence we gathered and I put a number 1 next to the evidence that goes with that bucket or that reason. So the students helped me find that. And then for the second one, we did takes too much time. So we went ahead and found the evidence that went with that. So we put a number 2 next to that evidence. And the third bucket was kids may not like it. So again, we did the same thing. We went to the evidence we gathered and we put a number 3 next to the evidence from the sources that supported that particular reason. So then I had the students work on revising their writing plans so that I can grade the revised writing plans, because it's very important that they take time to really think about the topic, gather the evidence that supports that topic or their opinion in this case, and then structure that writing plan so that they know how they're going to organize their essay. So I'm happy with this. Tomorrow we're going to work on revision strategies and adding elaboration so the students can go into their essays and make sure that they add those elaboration pieces, citing the evidence, making sure that they revise their writing. Because next week we're working on a brand new essay topic and we're going back to informative so we can refresh our minds on that particular writing genre. I also wanted to give you an update on our little paragraph for the person in Black history that we admire. I went ahead and I showed the students how to cut along the dash line on each page so that they had these staggered little flip pages. Remember how yesterday I went ahead and I modeled the brainstorming? I still have to add my 3 interesting details, but what I did today was that I modeled how to write an opening sentence and a closing sentence so that the opening sentence can introduce the topic and the closing sentence can wrap that topic up. And then I had them go over the paragraph success criteria and start writing their paragraph on the back. Also, to help the students who are done with writing their essays, I kind of gave them some idea on how they can draw their person so that they're at the center focus of their drawing here. And in the background, they can add things that are related to that particular person. I'm not done yet, but I did tell the students to make sure that they add color and also fully color their background, and they can also color the labels for each flap. And also, while we were doing the science review, I had to review with the students again the difference between rotation and revolution. So I drew a quick diagram on the board so that they remembered that Earth spins on its axis or rotates on its axis, and it revolves or goes around the sun, and how long it takes the Earth to do both. So rotation lasts about 24 hours. Revolution is about 365 days. Rotations cause day and night. Revolutions cause the season. So again, I'm very happy to introduce this weekly science review to help my students review these skills so they keep them at top of mind, because these are things they need to make sure they remember as they head into 5th grade and beyond. All right, so that's all I have for you for today, Thursday. I will see you tomorrow for Friday. We have made it to Friday, and let me give you a rundown of our agenda for today. We accomplished everything in reading except our reading response questions because we spent some time with the Black History Flipbook so I can give students an opportunity to finish that project. Then we reread the anchor poems, identified the theme again, completed some graphic organizers on those poems in our reading writing companion, so that took up some time. Then in writing, we accomplished everything except going over the elaboration techniques. I went over different examples of introductions, which I'll show you in a moment. And for the body paragraph structure, I had the students work on revising the first sentence of each body paragraph, and I showed some examples on the board. So I let the students go ahead and revise those. Here are the examples that I showed them. These are 3 different sentences for my 3 body paragraphs for this particular essay. So I went ahead and I underlined the transition words so that the students know that their first sentence, the topic sentence for each body paragraph, should start with a transition followed by the reason that they are using to support their opinion on whether students should do activities to improve schools. So here's my paragraph 1, 2, and 3. And then I have the students make sure to use this as an example so that they can revise their own. During writing time, I was able to meet with about 7 different students, actually make that 8 students, to go over their introductions to make sure that they were on the right track and to look at their body paragraphs to give them some feedback and strategies for improving and revising their writing. Now, we did not fully finish, so on Monday, I'm going to do one more lesson, which is the elaboration technique lesson, so that the students can go into those body paragraphs and make sure they revise and add those elaboration techniques that they need to, along with making sure that their first sentence for each body paragraph is completely revised to meet the success criteria for that, which I showed you the examples on the board. So Monday, we're going to take time on that. And then on Tuesday, they'll take a timed 2-hour writing practice test, which will be on an informative essay. And then we'll continue on from there. In math, we did our weekly math quiz and we went over a math on the spot video problem, which ended up having us compare rhombuses to squares, and I took it to a Jamboard that I'll show you in a moment. Then we ended the day with science, and we did get through the energy transfer lesson and energy tutorial. With the energy transfer lesson, I am reading different parts of the lesson, and when I get to one type of energy, for example, today was light energy, I paused the lesson and then I took them to the energy tutorial on light energy. Before that, we did the motion energy tutorial, and this is how they look. This is the energy of motion tutorial, motion of objects. This is an energy tutorial that we have access to from floridastudents.org. I'll link the website down below. You do have to have an account, but you can create a free account. And it just guides the students through an interactive tutorial on this. They have different practice problems, and I can have the students come to the board and answer the problems as we do the lesson. Now, the great thing is that our district put all those questions together for the students. So I printed this out so the students can answer the questions and they can show their understanding about the tutorial that we completed. Now, the other one that we were working on was this one, which is energy part 1, which is the light energy tutorial, and we got to part 7, which is halfway through it. So on Monday, we are continuing on and finishing up this energy tutorial. Backtracking a little bit to writing, these are the 3 introduction paragraph examples that I show the students. They are for the opinion that yes, students should do activities to improve schools. So this is a very simple one that has a very simple opener sentence to open up the topic and then the introduction sentence. Here is one that kind of puts the reader into the scenario. And here is the other example that I show the students using a scenario opener. So picture this, which can be changed to imagine that or think about this. Again, these are examples that I show them so that they will be able to go ahead and make revisions to their introductions as needed. Another thing that I shared with students is a list showing the different transitional phrases so that they can have an idea. They're not limited to this list, but in case they needed some ideas as they revised their body paragraph topic sentences, they had these for reference. And like I mentioned, this is the Jamboard that we created, which is a double bubble comparing a rhombus to a square. And these are the ways that the rhombus is different from the square and vice versa, and this is how they are alike. And here's an update on the person from Black history that I admire, which is Mansa Musa, and just giving you a little rundown of what I did. This I had already done, the brainstorming, but I did go ahead and add my 3 interesting details because I wanted to show the students how they can take these 3 details along with what we had already gone over on writing the opening and closing sentence, going over the success criteria for the paragraph, and putting it all together. So here is my fully written paragraph on Mansa Musa, which starts with my opening sentence, the 3 details that I use some transitions to connect, and ending with the closing sentence. Now, of course, my students, a lot of them had finished the entire thing, including coloring their picture. I have to finish my picture and then color it in. So maybe next week I'll show you my finished product so you can have an idea of how to complete this project in case you're interested in doing it with your students. So yeah, now I just gotta look over my students' work, revise their paragraph as needed, and then put it on display so that other people can learn about the person that they chose. So that is a rundown of our day of learning today, Friday. And another thing that I did for the students, because Krispy Kreme was having a sale today, Friday, a dozen donuts was $7. So I bought 2 dozen. So at the end of the day, when they came back from PE, I gave them each a donut. Everybody loves Krispy Kreme. And of course, they're just regular glazed donuts. And these are extra that I am taking home. But the students really appreciated it. All right, my friends, that was our week of learning. I hope you enjoyed coming along on our 25th week of school. Next week, we start week 26. It is a full school week, Monday through Friday. We also start writing camp with the entire 4th grade going to the cafeteria where I will teach them a mini lesson. So I hope everything will go well on that day. So I'll let you know, of course, in next week's vlog. Thank you for coming along with me. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment down below, let me know what you thought or any questions you may have. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications so you don't miss any future videos. I hope you have a beautiful, magical day, and don't forget to smile. Hello dreamers, wishers, and magical thinkers. Thank you so much for making it to the very end of this video and for showing your support. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do so by clicking on my picture down here. You can also check out my latest videos here and here. Don't forget to believe in the magic that's inside you because you are capable of great things. See you next time.